Okay, and we're live. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to TFC Open Mic. It's season 2, episode 15 of the Open Mic. So far, all we've got is admins. Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
Good evening.
It's episode 14 as well, not 15. And you said episode.
Episode, did I? I'm trying to read my small print there. Sorry, I'm looking ahead, mate. So my problem. It's 14. Yeah, you're right. It is. It's 14. So yeah. So anybody wants to jump in, feel free. There's a few slots available and that stuff. Obviously, if we've got a few extras come in, then we'll kick out some admins. So don't worry
I was
about
just about to say, usually Brian's our maths guy, so that's why Mark got that one wrong.
Yeah, I can't even count to 15, so there we go. So it's 14.
Well, we usually have Brian do all the hard work.
Yeah, which is cool. Anyway, not to worry. So we titled this one basically 4 new flags. Well, which is going to be mostly about the discussions, because this is like the one before the raid kicks in, that sort of stuff. So everyone's been frantically looking at obviously the 2 previews that we've had, and basically they've probably gone further now on what they intend to start this first raid of this new format. So I'm intrigued. I know there's a couple of people in the admin team are going different avenues, and I think that's probably a really good thing to do because we're covering all bases. I know definitely that Ren's going down the generalist route and that sort of stuff. Brian, I think you're going down the icebreaker route. Is that right?
Yep, 3 icebreakers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know Robin's going down, I think, monolith now.
Yep.
I'm monolith too, Robin.
Oh, good.
Great minds think alike.
But I could drive mine.
Ouch! Let me
Nice.
reject button.
Man, 4 minutes in and she's given a dig already. That's
Unreal. Unreal.
See, she fits right in.
She's a boss. There you go, mate. You've been bitched already.
Actually, I do have to say they are really fun to drive. And the big positive for me was being able to get places quickly with them when moving them. So I really did enjoy driving them.
Yeah. Well, we can start on that. Let's start at the top and work down. If we go from the top of the tree down, and we'll talk about each hole and that sort of stuff, and find out how people have experienced those. But we're in the preview. Find out your experience from so far, that sort of stuff. Your fits, your builds, that sort of stuff, and what your plans are. So, Robbie, you may as well kick off. You were in the preview, I take it.
Yeah, I was in I did not do the one with the alpha, but I did do the one with the raid targets, which we were supposed to be testing icebreakers. I have not built any of those, so I was playing around with the Zealous and Imperium and then running the Zealous with the Monolith. Imperiums went really well. There was a little bit of a learning curve with the arc missiles, and I was a wee bit disappointed to find arc missiles in the level 60 targets. In the 80s, they did really good in the 80s, and the same with the Monolith. I only had a single Monolith built, and I tested with just the single because I thought that may be all I would get done before the raid. Mm-hmm. And that went really well as well. There are a couple little tweaks that I made based on what I saw in there with respects to like putting charged armor on the Monoliths and those types of things. But on the whole, enjoyed the preview, got to play around a whole lot, and like I said, really liked playing with the Monolith.
Yeah, good. And do you find you managed to crank up the same as like the Apollo?
Yeah, actually, I didn't even think to test that in there, and I had a couple of GDs watching me, so I was going to do that in the FM, and so I actually went out with my Zealous tank, my 1 mono that I had, and then I popped in an Apollo with there, and I found that the Apollo and the mono almost mirrored each other speed-wise, speed-up time. I know there are some differences with how long it takes before you lose the speed and those types of things, but if you're driving from platform to platform, you're stopping anyway for a certain period of time, so both of them end up going to their full stop. And I found that I was actually able to keep the Apollo very close to the Monolith, and so the Apollo was dealing the mega damage on the ships, and of course it also has a couple of phalanx on there as well, so it was also able to help intercept some of the missiles from the rhinos. But Ren brought up a good point when we were talking about it before, is do the ships that come in from the targets have a specific type of damage to where maybe the Apollo won't work as well? But yeah. It was fun, and they kind of kept the same speed, and so it was very easy to control both the Monolith and the Apollo at the same time.
Yeah, it's quite good. There's a better range of targets this time from the first preview sort of stuff. So. Sorry, Ren, go on, mate. Yeah.
Just a question for Robin. what was your experience using charged armors versus the traditional resistance armor introduced?
Well, I've done extensive testing both in the preview and outside of the preview, and poor George, I've kept him up late many nights working through it. The missile armor, I understand it seems to have improved based on the last test preview that I did. I did actually put the X armor back on, but I went the route, I think it was you actually that suggested this, or somebody did. I went the route where I actually put the missile on the Zealous with the solid fuel booster. So I was in the 80s targets.
That's on mine, yeah.
Yeah,
Range
in
extended.
the 80s targets, I wasn't getting hit by any cold snaps unless I was stupid enough to drive right into them. So I couldn't really say one way or the other on the X armor if it had really had improved, or if it was just because I was outranging the cold snaps.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Cool, excellent. Okay, right. So there we go, monos and that sort of stuff. So are you the only person on the group here that's doing monoliths? Sorry, Liam, you are as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm doing monoliths. Well, I won't have monoliths ready really. I might have 2 ready for the raid, but I mean, I didn't make any of the previews this week. I didn't get into either one of them, so I'm kind of a bit frustrated that I didn't get to see the targets or the changes that they're doing to them, but. Yeah, I'm looking to run a similar design to what I said a couple of weeks back. Remember when the first preview we got into, I was talking about running a Harlock Aegis and 3 monoliths and an icebreaker tank. Obviously, they incorporated variable speed into the monolith, so the Harlock Aegis is no longer viable at all. So anyone that took that information when I previously said it, don't follow it now, because they basically nerfed that idea of mine, which GDA had a good laugh at. To me, so yeah, so that's gone. So don't attempt to do that anymore. But yeah, I probably will be running 3 monoliths and an icebreaker tank eventually. Just might not have the fleet ready. Yeah, me and TSM actually were discussing monolith builds.
Yeah, so I've got one there that basically, I mean, and Ren's done a really good video again. He's great at his videos, and in fact, I don't do videos anymore because I can't better his videos, so I don't bother even trying now. So Ren's done an excellent video of the whys in the house and that sort of stuff. But I've quickly knocked together 2 builds. Now, whilst this thing is quite zippy and that sort of stuff, what it doesn't do is turn obviously very brilliantly once you start getting them around the mines. So I found that actually this with a combat speed of 57.8 also, so it's going to be 58, isn't it? That's why I put the turn armors on instead, and actually it manages to turn quite reasonably now as well. So, and interestingly, though, I didn't go with the new special, although I've gone with the new mortar. For this one, I've gone with the standard, that we picked up from the previous raid format. That's simply because then, I mean, I've lost some splash. But it's just that I thought, I want to get these. From what I noticed in the preview, these over-unders fire quite slowly, and the projectile speed's quite slow. So I thought I'll give it a go between the 2 in the raid, and in the preview. And I noticed that this one seemed to come out a little bit better. I've been lazy. I've thrown on a couple of a couple of counters as well, just in case I get splatted. So, and I could take off obviously the countermeasure and obviously put on some extra splash if I wanted to, but.
See, I've pretty much I had a build that I used in the preview, and then me and TSM were chatting it through, and I've gone for TSM's build, that exact build that's on screen, pretty much. I think I'm running the XM plate instead of the countermeasure 3.
Okay, yes, yeah, which you can do, yeah, definitely. And you know what, if you can get out of the way, yeah, then very much you're great. The other one I was looking at quickly was this one here. So if you only manage to get round 1 and get the actual hull itself, you can actually still smack it up with. So the thing I was going to say, yeah, you can see. Sorry, it's first 2 rounds, not the 3rd one. So you don't get as far as the over/under, but actually you get the special and you get the hull itself. So if you look at this one here, then this is a 64k damage on this one here, and the stats are quite decent. Obviously, projectile speed there, 237, and splash is pretty reasonable, 124. But if you do manage to go the other way round, this isn't so bad as well. I mean, it's 50. But then again, you look at your splash on this one here, and your splash is up pretty decent at 238%.
I just think it's unlikely that someone who only did pack 1 was able to get the narrow firing aperture, because that was a top prize in the Pride campaign. Right?
And
Yeah.
high explosive, what's it? Because that's pack 2.
But that one there, I mean, I actually managed to get through with my alt account using 3 ironclads. I managed to get through the second prize pack.
Yeah,
It did
so
cost
this
22
positive
coins.
regulator is far more common because that's an FM tier 5
Yeah.
price.
But, I mean,
so
we could-
that and splash upgrade or explosive upgrade.
But I mean, you could use the high velocity shells instead on there as well. It's just, I mean, you know, the thing of having so many different special slots, you can do all sorts of stuff, can't you? But the point I've noted there is that you can still get a good amount of damage up, and you know you can get some. I mean, you put HVR on top of that as well. You're obviously your reload speed's going to be, sorry, your projectile speed's going to be back up there again as well, and that's actually going to be a pretty nasty sort of hull, I think, to be honest. So it just gives options, you know. It's not the way to go. It's just another way. You know, I saw Ren's video. I watched that. That was really good because he always goes through the whys, you know. And I just chuck up a picture and that sort of stuff and let people try and work it out themselves. But there are, you know, there's it's a flexible hull, I think personally.
Yeah, I went
needs
a little bit projectile speed and more splash.
Yeah.
Primarily.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, one of those people that, and I haven't actually driven the darn thing in anger yet, I must admit, because I was mucking around with my my icebreakers and that sort of stuff. But if Robin's saying that you don't need the counters, you can get away with things because they're quite quick, then maybe you just want to take those off. I don't really know. But
yeah, the other thing I did too was I put 3 coaxial firestorms on the monolith because of just like the added armor, right? It gives you, I think, just over 5,000 armor. And I'm thinking, if I do that on the 4 monoliths following the tank, maybe they won't be the lowest armor ship, which means some long-range turrets seems to have priority targeting, and I'm thinking maybe.
Yeah.
So either way, it's
yeah.
5,000 more armor for 15 minute, 7.5 minute repair in raid time. So it's actually a great addition, I think.
Just to clarify, I didn't actually take, the build that I have is a little bit different than both of you have, but I did still leave 1 Gale on there. I did not put any countermeasure extender on there, but I did still use the single Gale, and the Gale was picking up mortars from hulls or whatever if I just happen to be in the wrong spot, or there's that one area in the 83 where you basically got 3 sets of turrets firing at you and you really don't have a choice. So.
Yeah, that was a bit, and I noticed in the preview, I don't know if it was this hull or whichever hull. No, I was doing it on sits, I think it was. Yeah, I changed my sits that time. And 1 Gale on each, 1 Gale 2. In fact, I was doing, or was it 2 Gales at come in anyway? But I was taking out of all the mortars easily with just 1 or 2 of the hulls. So it shouldn't be too bad. You know, I mean, it's up to you. You can even move the ships around, that sort of stuff. Like I say, this thing now will move like an Apollo, so you can probably zip out of the way. It just means you've got to keep an eye on things, whereas if you are getting a bit lazy and trying to position your tank in the right place, then you know you might forget and get sniped. You know, so good. Should we talk about icebreakers? Move on to those, which is George's
I want to. You guys, in your opinions, like in terms of tanks, I mean, I know some people are deciding to use icebreakers as tanks, and some people are deciding to use Zelos. So I wanted to ask you guys, you know, your opinion on that, like why the pros and cons of each.
Okay, well, personally, I've changed my Zealous and I've changed my actually I've changed my Punisher one as well. So my as I've said in the preview for me and when I did the stream, and I have taken off the Charge X and I've gone with D5X instead. So very similar to, in fact, I think almost identical to what the blog that George has put up. So I've got actually you know, a ice can be a tank. But I've also just quickly adjusted which is 1 day, I think 1 day, 2 hours on each one. My Zealous now is at 98.8 range, and so is my Punisher, by adding a D73 and putting solid boost Fury on it and taking off some of the thruster. So that is, as Robin has said, you know, that outranges in the cold snap in the current target, what we've seen in the preview. So half the damage that you classically get in today's FM of the format now, you know, you can sort of like drive around that and prevent yourself from taking that. So it should be a bit better. So you know, and I saw a couple of people as well. Some videos came up afterwards. I think Rob did one, that sort of stuff, where he was using pun tank lead and that sort of stuff, and he actually got it virtually down for coin free. You know, instant face.
Well, I'll show you the one I've gone for.
Just lock on you.
I don't know if you can see. Can you see?
Yeah, you're on present now, so.
This is my beast. I don't know if you can see it actually big enough. I don't know if it'd be easier to do.
Yeah, it's easy to see. Yeah.
That's the tank I've gone for.
Okay.
Yeah, you're in that sweet spot that I felt very uncomfortable with that spot, because you're set up both for resistances and then you're set up for charged armor. So it's kind of a compromise where it's not optimized for charged armor, which then means you could use more offensive related specials. And it's not optimized for resistance, when then the extra resistance armors would give you higher resistance. So it's kind of like an in-between. I felt really uncomfortable with that. Did it work well for you?
Well, in the first I didn't go into any of the previews last week, but this was basically, I think this is almost spot on to the tank I used in the first preview we went into a couple of weeks back. And yeah, it was spot on. I mean, I was this with 3 monoliths behind it, and then I had the Arlock Aegis guiding the monoliths. I was doing them for very, very low cost, the ones that we were doing there. I think it was 83s back then. But again, I don't know. The targets have changed, you know, so I mean, if I need to make some quick adjustments to it, I can. But it was like it was an 18-day build. I mean, it wasn't cheap. And obviously, it's going to have no rank on it by the time the raid comes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, without rank, it's not good for countermeasures.
Yeah, exactly. So, to be honest, I may try and smash it up a bit and get a bit of rank on it, and then put it in front of, you know, some citadels. Take out the Punisher, put in that as a tank, and have him sat back with the free. You know what I mean? Or I may even take out the Harlock Age Citadel out the base and shove it in with 2 Citadels, the Savage, to give that buff to resistance, and the Icebreaker in there as well.
Yeah, I just noticed actually, and that was mentioned in chat about using the Savage as well, which is great. And obviously, that it's not the only hole. Obviously, you can get the resistance up for pen, but don't try sitting it in a corner. It's going to have to go with your Citadels and that sort of stuff, and you have to look after it, because obviously you've got those Codys that come in at the southern and east and west flanks, you know, when you go into the target. So if you sit in the corner, it's going to get taken out in no time at all.
I found better result using the AA3 rather than the mixed armor on my icebreakers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like just full explosive, I found better results. I was getting down really, really cheap.
That's weird, because I tried that and I ended up getting more than the build that I ended up using.
Am I still presenting?
Oh yeah, sorry, man.
Yeah.
You look
Nice face, mate. Beautiful, yeah. But no, what was it I was going to say? So yeah, I also found that using no evade worked better for me as well. So
really,
yeah, I didn't put evade on mine.
So I mean, it's pretty crazy my build. But I'm playing.
That's because you're the craziest fucking guy in here, Stu. That's why.
But yeah, pretty much.
it's good. So I'm going Icebreakers to start with, but I think if I end up killing them off, you know, and that sort of stuff, then I'll switch fire, and I'm in a position where I can switch fire to go to Citadels if I want to. I haven't built anything generous apart from the Zealous tank itself, and that's only because I built it for the FM. But I've not built any Imperiums at all. A few people have in my alliance, so I'll be interested to see how they get on that sort of stuff. So Monster is, in fact, isn't he? So.
Remember your malice tank for the FM, Mike? I wonder if
well, it's a shame you can't use it, isn't it? Because that was a bit of a crazy thing, wasn't it? So yeah, but, obviously there's no conquerors in this, obviously, you know, and as soon as this goes to replacing obviously the current FM format, there'll be no conquerors in there either at all. So all those things that we have been using, they'll be put back to the graveyard, unfortunately. Yeah. But that's the way it is. So Ren's shot off, which is a shame because we wanted to talk about obviously the generalist. But I haven't seen a build for that. But I did see him do a video where obviously the thing is the generalist. It's got its own special. It's got its own mortar and that sort of stuff. You know, which to me though in the raid, in the preview, I noticed it seemed to need the HVR shells because it seemed a bit of a slow projectile path.
Yeah, I tested that with the 2 that I had, and my biggest issue with that was where I was driving it. When I wasn't doing stupid things like driving it into turrets and stuff, it performed really well. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I like the Apollo, so I was kind of more on the mono. But no, the Imperium did really good. Did excellent in the lower targets, and I think I got I want to say probably about 90% of the 80. I think the highest target was an 83. I got like 90% of that done until I did a stupid move, and so it was doing well as well.
Excellent. That's all right. And so I think the other thing is to talk about really is just to make sure. I mean, people have got them sorted out now, but I saw Ren had a little video as well where he did the last chance with the Citadels and that sort of stuff. He pushed it up, but I take it people, you know, if you haven't won HVR and that sort of stuff now, you know, or if you haven't put it on, it's probably one of the best specials you can add on to any of your Mort chuckers, you know, for its weight, you know. And actually, I think the fact that I like the fact that you can kill things before they even try to kill you. So, you know, even if you haven't got quite as much splash as some people has, you can shift click and take out a target. You can do 2 parts of a target in the same time as what you would do if you didn't have HVR shells on. So it's probably the
There was
best
a guy, I can't remember his name. There was a guy on the preview that I was on that was running around with the Harlock set fleet. And he was doing really well in the high targets. I managed to murder mine in the lower one because of the arc missile, but he did really good, and it wasn't just like a one and done, one hit wonder. He did a couple of targets with his sets and seemed to do okay. So I was really encouraged that the Citadels will still do well.
Yeah, it might have been Hefe, because I know he did the 81 for like on the map instant repair with that.
Yeah, I saw Hefe using sits as well when I was in.
What was he running as a tank, George?
I thought he's in chat, mate. He might catch up.
Yeah, I don't remember actually.
I guess, like it seems to me, is the mortar chuckers behind can, you know, as long as the tank's right, then I think you can get away with monoliths or citadels chucking the mortars from behind. You know, built right.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. It's
that.
Yeah.
See, like with the title of the show tonight, like I think. Well, I guess we'll move on to that a bit later. But
oh yeah, I totally forgot. He used a Punisher.
A Punisher.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes, he used a Punisher.
Okay.
Yeah. So
then there's hope.
Yeah, there's hope.
Yes, there's hope. There is hope. Although I'm going to find it interesting to find out how much they changed the targets from what we saw to what's actually in the raid, because there is a huge debate going on about that trident in the forums and on the page.
That as well, saying it didn't do anything, or it did do something, or, you know, it didn't work according to the plan, and yeah, I've seen a bit of that as well. So
yeah, a couple of them were bugged as well. The top towers weren't firing, and then there was
not even that. No way.
Yeah, one. I think it was the 83. If you enter at exactly 3 o'clock, the fleet that comes into you from the east actually gets killed by the turrets and doesn't even make it to you. So I'm sure that'll be fixed.
Oh, really? That's not
well,
so good, is it?
No, that kind of goes with the storyline, because there's like Zoe's trying to play both sides. So, you know, when they come
maybe
in,
not.
sometimes
It might
they're
have just been that I came in that position and that I hadn't had yet to kill that set of turrets, and maybe that was why. But I was happy with it.
Yeah,
work as intended. You reckon? Then,
yeah, it'll be interesting. But I believe that's going with the storyline. That's why in one of the targets they were the ships were attacking each other until you got close.
Oh, really? Yeah. I thought they did in the top. Yes, that's right. They were, especially on the east side, weren't they? They were definitely. I was like, and I thought they were the same faction. I was like, what are they doing? Because the more here it's in the Rhino, and the Rhinos. The one was a Zoe Rhino, wasn't it? And that sort of stuff.
So you can peek in with a sub, hide in the corner, let them kill each other, and then come back in.
But you have to kill the shipyard, I think, though, to activate them, don't you?
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And do you remember the old ones when the Draconians were going against the Reavers and we were getting in the middle of it, and you could peek in with a sub, let them kill each other for a bit.
Yeah, just hide out the way and let them go and annihilate each other.
Yeah, you'd get less points, but you wouldn't die trying. You know.
Although I have this Scatter Tiger sub, so maybe you could go in that way.
Ooh. Yeah, there's a thought. There's always options. See, there's always options. I'm just trying to knock together quickly some ideas here quickly. I don't know why I've lost a Punisher. I can't find where anyway. So I've just got just as examples. I'll just quickly flip and share my screen again quickly. Hopefully people can see that. They should be able to anyway. He says, Get up there. Right. So I've got this one. So this is the baseline fleet. So for people that haven't or haven't ready, that's generally what I was doing for a Harlock as a rough idea. That one there, and then on the normal FM as we are now, just one volley will take out the complete big cluster by itself. Just has to have one volley, nothing else. No, you don't have any crews, nothing at all. So I haven't obviously tested it myself yet in the preview, but it ain't nothing special. But it just has previous tech on it and that sort of stuff. So it doesn't even have obviously the latest seed battery that's out there, isn't it? So that's a pretty standard one, and that's fitted out with a pretty normal sort of like Punisher, which I haven't adjusted. I've got two Punishers. I can't find the second one, but basically that one there's got the 94 range, which what I'll probably do is take off the thruster and then put obviously the 73 missile on it, and then I'll get that up to a 98 range as well, which means I shouldn't have to worry about the cold snaps. And then obviously there's icebreakers, and this is actually George's build, I think it is. George, is yours the same as that? I'm pretty sure you're close, aren't you?
Yeah, I think that's it.
I think that's roughly about it, to be honest. So that could work as a tank and actually, as a blitzer and that sort of stuff. So that's actually what I'll be starting my raid with and messing around and that sort of stuff. The fourth one is in the shipyard, and I've got no reason to speed it up. It's got 2 days, 20 hours on it left.
Yeah. I want to actually mention something on the icebreaker because, Ren was saying that using the charged armors is kind of like an in-between thing. And on these, especially when you get 4 icebreakers in a fleet, it really isn't. I think, the way that the hull itself behaves, it looks like they were actually designed to use the charged armors because the resistances get so far up when you have 4 stacked in a fleet that it's really not a compromise at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to wait and see how we do, same as we did the Zoe's Apollo and that sort of stuff. So I'm prepped now, ready to, whenever that comes in a TLC later. I doubt it'll come in this current raid. In fact, we can talk about those flags in a moment, won't we, Liam? But I'm basically prepped. I'm not really sure if I'm going to run all 4 together or whether I'm going to split them down into 2 twos, or I haven't decided yet. But that's that one there, and then a little bit of prep for later on. Obviously, I've just done the free one, so I've got a Zealous tank there. Well, it's actually with a Garwood because I normally charge and get the mines and kill those off in the current FM. That's not going to be relevant, obviously, in this new raid because you can't kill the mines. And I could swap out that thruster there and put solid fuel booster 3 on instead, and then swap the Garwood as well, and obviously put the missile, which will give me an extra range, which would be quite decent. And then there's that mono. So that's the free one that you get if you manage to get to the end of the campaign. So that's ranked up and ready to rock and roll. So if I do any more of those, there's only going to be 2 more of that because we also know there's a flag of that coming out as well at some stage over the coming month after the raid finishes. So I only got to do 2 more of those as well. So with the FM tokens,
legendary ranked. Fucking hell, Mark.
Well, the tokens are free, mate. You get VXP as well, don't you? If you do the whole thing.
Oh, you just use them all in one?
Yeah. So I've got spares.
You get enough for 2.
Yeah, you get spares. So I haven't used the second one, but I'm not coining a holes because I don't need it.
Lying. He coined the rank on all of it.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, you do. That is a good point. You do have to pay attention because you get 1,000s and then 6,500 and somethings and then 30s. And
you waste them if you aren't careful.
Yeah, you have to figure out it's one of these, 2 of those, and 3 of those kind of thing, and then that way you can get both of them up to.
One of them is 6,500. It's not as we normally get because they've done it on purpose. So the reason the numbers are a bit funny on these VXPs is because they're relevant to the type of hull. It's not you haven't got to bust through that 100k mark and that sort of stuff this time. So, and obviously rank it up before you freaking build it because obviously your armor points go up and that sort of stuff, which doesn't help. But that's it. And I haven't built. I didn't actually build any. I don't even know if I've saved my shit, but I don't think I've saved any. No, I've not got anything saved. So that's it as far as I'm concerned. I don't have anything saved up for the generalist hull because I've just not built one. So there's no point having 3 different mortar ships, is there? Which leads us on nicely to talking about ship fleets and builds and that sort of stuff. It's a shame Ren's disappeared. He said go and pick up his daughter. But there's been a couple of comments on the page this week, hasn't there, about advice and people countering advice and that sort of stuff. And you've told me to go down this avenue, and what if it doesn't work and that sort of stuff. So
basically, Ren's to blame for all of it.
Yeah, so we'll blame Ren because he's not here. But the point I was going to say is, we've already had the indication, and it's been mentioned more than once, that in this raid format, the very first one, okay, then we're only doing obviously the old A sets and that sort of stuff. So it'll be the 80s this time, they're going to call them. And the target pressure should be dialed down, in comparison to what it'll be next month. And not only be next month to be dialed up a little bit, they'll also get the single S set target as well, which will be interesting to see, And then the A sets again in the third one will be dialed up a little bit harder, and we'll get two targets for the S set. So we'll see what's going on. But they did state that, as they did in the previous raid format, with Centurions, that sort of stuff, but Citadel should do okay. And based off the preview targets, they certainly are doing fine. So let's just hope they've gauged this one right. But the problem is it's throwing people, isn't it? Because now you've got Citadels, you've got Imperiums, you've got Monoliths, that sort of stuff, and obviously you've got the Icebreakers as well. So you've got 4 different concepts. But don't think you've got to build them all, because you don't. You only go down one avenue. Right? So whichever one you need. So if you are, thank God, seems like the Icebreaker has redeemed what the Iron Cannon didn't do. It seems the Ironclads. It's redeemed itself, and it's gone back to what we thought that, what it should be. A blitzing hold that could hopefully do 2 to 3 A sets and then have to go and get fixed. And I think that's generally acceptable. 2 or 3 A sets is generally acceptable.
You've got to repair in between targets if you're using charged armor, otherwise you'll lose most of your pool.
Oh, shut up, you.
Yeah. I'm just stating a point.
No, it's a fair point, but ultimately that was the sort of goal that we were talked about. And obviously once you get the flagship comes out and that sort of stuff, you've seen some provisional stats.
If it's 1 or 2 gold, or 1 gold per target or whatever, I'm quite happy to pay that price.
Yeah,
that's nice. Seeing a free gold for a whole set, I'll take that.
But it's like the Apollo concept, isn't it? If you went light armor, they don't last very long. But if you go heavy armor, they last long. Fix them overnight and then crack on, sort of stuff.
Well, it was more the fact, if I'm doing the raid on auto, I will pay 3 gold to do a set all day long.
Yeah. Well, for me, the benchmark was the Tideseeker. I mean, the Tideseeker, I used that to do the December raid and got like 300 million with it, on autopilot. It was the benchmark in terms of the autopilot hole. And if the Icebreaker lives to that, then I'll be a happy man. Even if it gets close to that, I'll be a happy man. But yeah, I mean, basically what TSM was saying there, obviously with the 4 flagships, everyone's sort of a bit confused, I guess. Not confused, but like TSM is saying, and I think the panel was saying, even each one on the panel was kind of picked a different path. Ren's going generalist, myself and Robin are going for Monolith, and TSM and sounds like Brian and possibly George are going for the Icebreaker. So, in terms of the flagships, you don't need all 4 of them. I think for me, I'll probably look to get, if I can't get enough points, I'll go for Alpha Behemoth flagship, the Harlock Alpha Behemoth, as a must anyway, because it's a base defender, and then the Monolith flag, whereas Brian might go for the Behemoth and the Icebreaker flag, and Ren might go for the Generalist flag. And I think instead of thinking along the path of oh my God, content overload, Kixeye, going crazy about the amount of content, instead think about what you're actually using in the raid and what you actually need.
Well, one problem is the asynchronous release of tech. I built Icebreakers because I literally could not build the skill hold because it wasn't out yet. And
you needed time, didn't you? Yeah.
Well, I need time. And now that it's here, it has to be available before I can even build it. And that's 1 month of the raid cycle done. So really how far, I'm not considering getting the Harlock Alpha because I don't care. And I'm probably not going to get the Vizago's Icebreaker because that's not my end goal. My goal is I have 3 Icebreakers, I'll stand pat there, and then I'll switch to the Monolith set. And I'm doing the math on how much time that's going to be. And right now I'm not liking it. But, what if you want to switch or upgrade? What if you get better tech? And how long is that going to take? A flagship has to fit in line with your long-term plan, but also be worth the additional build time that it takes. Because these cost, 10 days more to build than their normal ship. It's almost 2 ships building one. It's got to be worth it. And sometimes it's just not.
Yeah. I'm planning to become such planning the next couple of months ahead in terms of your shipyard seems to be the absolute must at the moment. Like for anyone that went out and coined 5 icebreakers, they'll be kicking themselves because you only wanted 4. You know, if monoliths, I'm not going to build more than 2 monoliths because I'm going to put a flag monolith in there and then have 2 other ships. You know, and making sure you plan that out and not waste money and not build more ships than you need. It's just
right. But the problem, Liam, is, you know, given the history that we've seen with the TLCs and the stuff that comes out afterwards, right? A lot of times your life is so much easier if you have both of these fleets done. And this time we had to make both of the fleets. So now, like, when I'm going into this raid, I want the icebreaker lead, I want the monolith lead, and maybe, I mean, I'm not impressed with the alpha, the Halux alpha, so, you know, but I'm going to get it probably. But the thing is then your time is constrained, and we only have 3 months per raid now. So by the time the raid's done, I'm already starting the next raid fleet. I'm out of PvP. I'm out of PvP.
Yeah, I agree with you. I still, okay, and we're going into the second one, so I'll give it this one way. But I've gone against the 3-month raid cycle format. I dislike it, actually.
Well, it's bumped me out of PvP because now if I want to like build something to adapt in my base guard, I don't have the shipyard time. If I want to build something to go hit bases, I don't have the shipyard time. I'm focusing on. I'm going to be almost 2 weeks behind having 4 icebreakers done when the raid starts. I'm going to be like 11 days shy.
2 and a bit. 2 and a bit is what? So nearly 3rd one done, but that's what I've asked of my alliance.
Yeah,
They've got the 3rd one, so
I'll have the 3rd one done, but then the 4th one's not. It's gonna, I'm gonna be that far behind.
Well, because of my lack of trust in Kixeye's decision making, I've only got 1 done, do you know what I mean? Because I went off of their history in the last cycle with the Ironclad, I decided not to trust them, and I didn't. So I'm well behind. So you're a few steps ahead of me, which is a touchy subject, really. I mean, if you don't have faith in what's coming, and so choose not to trust it and invest time in it, and then when it does come, you're behind. I mean, that's a really bad state.
That takes us back, doesn't it, mate, to content release and information and passing on detail, and fair dues. Okay,
and quality of release.
Yeah,
quality.
There's quality assurance is one thing, and fair dues. We've had so long as the things are very, very similar. The previews we've had, the targets have looked reasonable. Really unusual for all those mines in there and that sort of stuff and the way they're working, but what do you do with a freaking, a garrison thing? How are you going to make it more harder without making it massive or so OP? The skill of this target now is to navigate around those goddamn mines, so that's what they've done to make it harder.
You do some interesting zone defense with your remote targeting ships and your 200 range assault mortars so that you have to take a strange path around the clusters of turrets. The mines, I think I'm putting X armors on all of my monoliths because I'm going to hit mines because there's no way I can turn that finely.
That's why I put it as well.
There are a couple of spots in the targets. When you go in, don't just make the assumption to enter south and then head right in. There are a couple of spots in all but I think 1 target that I saw where there was a path where you could just shoot straight in and not have to navigate. Now, it did mean that I had to drive head west or east, halfway across the screen before I entered. But there were locations where if you paid attention to the sequencing of the mines, there were like clear pathways.
I actually want to go back to something that Mark just said. It was actually both Liam and Mark, but you guys, we've been discussing communications a lot lately with regard to, Kixeye and everything. I'm kind of curious, to what standard are you guys holding them to? Because I know the couple people that I've talked to and my own personal opinion, I'm holding them to the standard of last year. When the revenge stuff came out, we had a path. We knew what was coming up. We knew like the general idea, not specifics, but we had the general idea, hey, this is going to be a set of ships and you can do this, this, and this. And awesome. We didn't freak out when we got new ships because we knew how they fit into the whole puzzle.
Do you know what we need? All we need is the old swag type video of go, hey guys, this is what's coming forward. You can take this avenue, so show a little video. This is the one, there you go, zipping around with some freaking, Imperiums, zipping around with some icebreakers and that sort of stuff. Pick your route, pick your faction, that sort of stuff. Have a blast.
But are you guys using the same, are you guys following the same standard that saying like you're holding them to last year's standard? Because last year was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
For me, I would say 2015 is when BP was like that critical. In my opinion, that was at the point where the game was on the verge of just collapsing, and then it's at least the way I perceive this. GDR came into BP and fucking sorted it out. The guy's a fucking legend. He fixed BP and made BP the best game it's ever been. And he did it in 1 year. He did that.
So you're holding 2016 as the standard.
2016 was the best year BP has ever seen.
I'd say from June onwards, it made a big difference.
And sadly, this year, no, because GDR had these ideas of what he wanted to implement into the game and realized that he couldn't do it because of the way the game was built. So he restructured it by creating the PvP PvE division, and he completely restructured it from the ground up. And it was absolutely amazing what he did to the game. You know, all those little things along the way.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in terms of communicating, you know, what they were doing. I mean, they did so many changes last year, but we were aware, you know.
He was on the forum doing posts every now and then. He was coming on the show every month. He was the community, and he wasn't even a community manager, you know. But we knew exactly what was going on. We knew exactly what was coming up. Like right now, I would say that the game is all over the place. Everyone's confused. No one knows what's coming or what to do. People are starting to lose trust in them, myself included. And I think the biggest problem with that is communication.
Yeah, communication is key.
You know, people just don't have it. Exactly, I'm all over the place. I've got half-built fleets here and there.
Well, my pet. So that everything seems to be a little bit strange for me right now. Like I built a Ferox Fury, right? Managed to get it done with tokens, rank it up or whatnot. Stay in my base, started building my next raid fleet. Because I mean, you know, obviously raid fleet's the most important part of the game, right? So I've just about finished that, and then the announcement of the Alpha Behemoth come out, and I'm like, now, what do I want to use the Ferox Fury? Should I have built the Ferox Fury? What am I doing? Like, and I'm confused. I don't know which one I want to play with and which one I want in my base. So I only have use for one of them. So what am I doing?
Yeah.
I am holding them to the standard of last year, and I'm going to continue holding them to that standard as long as the targets are tuned such that we must have a pristine, you know, picture-perfect build and perfectly developed strats to do the targets well, and the reward for doing them is high. Like in the first raid of last cycle in January, I kept commenting during a stream that, oh yes, this route where you just dip in and dip out and can kill them before they fire at you, it only works if you have the absolute best tech, and, you know, all millenniums on all your cannoneers, because otherwise your damage isn't high enough. Like, you need that or you're going to get shot at. The 107s were another good example where you need, if you're doing it with cannoneers, you needed the millennium guns. Your DPS wasn't good enough. As long as we are held to an incredibly high standard as players, we're going to hold them to an incredibly high standards in terms of communication and of general design. And so far, I'm not impressed.
Okay, well, let me just take 2 points there. There's a couple of things that's come up in the chat as well. So 2 things right then. So as it states there, okay, so this has come out from Doom, basically an example of obviously, or a pretty close example of what an 83 is, okay, and an indication of the thing. There's a Zealous in the middle there, and there's Citadels, okay. Then the Citadels aren't damaged. There's a little bit of damage on the Zealous as well, and that sort of stuff. So, you know, it talks about MIRV missiles, that sort of stuff, talking about the cryo mines, and so there's a bit of indication. So there is a bit of indication going forward into this raid format of giving a rough idea. Okay, and that's in the general discussions area, April's tips and tricks. So I strongly encourage people to go and read that. That's the first point.
Sorry, the problem with that though is, when was that released?
That's 6th of April.
Yeah.
That's the 6th of April. So that's that. Now the other thing I was going to quickly look at as well was two points here, and I'll just quickly bring it up because it's just been mentioned in the chat, right? So just bear in mind, okay, the type of mort chuckers we've been talking about, okay, just bear in mind then that there are other mort chuckers out there as well that you will not be able to use in this raid format. And I've put them together here, so, you know, and we'll make it visually obvious, so you can't actually go anywhere near where I put them, he says. Just stick them. I've got freaking ships everywhere. But there are definitely 2 ships, he says. Where did I freaking put them now? I thought I did anyway. Anyway, but there are two ships that you can't use. One of them being the Oppressor. You can't use it. Okay, it's just not acceptable, and you can't use Vendettas. Okay, so although it's a T5 hull, you just can't use it. All right, it's not available to use in this format. And I did have somewhere, he says, because I've got freaking ships all over the place. There we go. Okay,
and
so
the
this one
Oppressors,
here,
I mean, that's another sore point for me.
a new hull. Okay, that we don't really need. And to be honest, I think the Monolith, you'll be able to go and do base hitting with a Monolith pretty fine. Because look how fast they move. I think they're going to be very good fun to use in base hitting, to be honest.
The Monolith, I have high hopes for the Monolith because that flagship and the Apollo,
and the speed, they speed up like Apollos. I think they're going to be brilliant.
I think it's going to be a fun, interesting thing.
Look at the damage on that Oppressor, 18k. The Monolith's got 65k. Without the flag.
You have 2 mortars on this ship. That's the difference.
And they're both made of glass in terms of the base.
Yeah, because they haven't got obviously. Sorry, I've got one fully built somewhere. I don't know. I can't remember where I put it. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's in one there, so I'll stop sharing. That's enough of my stupid base. But yeah.
So an interesting.
Call me.
An interesting thing with the Monolith flagship. What it looks like so far is it looks like it's meant to be a tank. It's got inherent deflection. It boosts with deflection. It's got the 4 countermeasure only slots, I think, something like that. And that's a little more taxing because now you have to build another Monolith to go with that. A lot of people, myself included, we probably could have guessed there would be a flagship for the Monoliths because they weren't too terribly impressive, but I didn't think it would take the spot of the tank and that you'd need to build another one. So that's even more time. I think I did some math. 4 monoliths and a flagship, assuming it's 10 days more, minus the 14 days build time that you get, it's still, 75 days worth of build time for the fleet after the tokens from the TLC. So slow time building, by the end of the raid cycle, you'll have your monoliths done. Wait, what? So yeah, math.
So there you go. So there's the lead. That's the one there you're talking about. And it's got some really freaky stats on it, hasn't it? It must be. It does make it seem like a tank.
I was not aware of that.
So that makes it like a tank, okay? So, but it gives you options. I will still put a Zealous in with that. So if I use the Zealous as the tank, and then all of a sudden, I think then I can go, do you know what? The Zealous has died off. I can probably pull this ship forward and continue on the target and finish it off. I won't kill it off because I want the flag effects. But it gives it a bit more flex, maybe.
Yeah, double day. That seems good.
And
you can shift away your countermeasures from the other ships onto this one because it has the buffs and it's got 4 slots for them.
How fast are the monoliths going to go with that in there? Jesus.
I don't know, but I know what I'm probably going to do is have this and another tank in the fleet. But the tank that I'm going to have is for the back of it because I'm presuming, because look, these are not garrison targets. The speed of those ships is not a stationary or slow moving ship. It's not a garrison.
They zoom in.
So I'm sitting there going, okay, what are they going to do in the S target then? Because that's going to be a massive target. What happens if you get hit from both sides with fleets? I want a second tank to cover my ass.
Which sort of stops you from killing the target too fast, because that's exactly what does happen. You get stuff zooming in from the east and west flank, don't you? And there's something coming from the north as well.
Well, you want something in the bunch that's specifically designed to take care of the ships.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to run a second. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this as not the Empyrean, but I'm going to use that iron as the. I'm going to use that as the main tank, and then I'm going to have a secondary tank in the back to cover my flanks.
And that's what Ren did with his Imperium fleet. He's got one Imperium, I think, that had instead of having his antis spread out across them, he had one Imperium that is almost the secondary tank with all of his antis in that one.
Yeah, that's a Ren format. He's quite commonly does that. And I see the logic behind it as well.
Guys, I'm going to have to drop. I've also got to go and pick my daughter up.
Sugar daddy boy.
Oh boy.
I will that conversation in a minute. Don't worry.
So Liam won't be back next week because he will be murdered.
Really
murdered.
No, I've got to go and grab Lucy.
Very high.
So good show, everyone, and I will catch up with you later. Enjoy the rest of the show. Take care.
Okay, mate. Cheers.
Bye, Liam.
Right, now we can slate him. He's gone. No, it's interesting, isn't it? So, but I mean, this is the stuff. I mean, I don't envisage this coming at all in the raid. I see it in TLC afterwards, after the VXP weekend, the next one sort of stuff, you know, because that will give you time then to build this in slow time. Hopefully, it'll come with a few tokens like this. The last couple of TSCs will come.
You mentioned the grid on TSM. Can you bring up the new Imperium one?
Yeah. So this, I like this. You know, I haven't built Imperiums, but I like this. This is a brilliant tank, I think.
It's like a double duty with an extra boost just for the Zealous.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it makes you Zealous then.
Because obviously you can put a res capacitor in these things, can't you? And you can make them into quite a funky ship, you know.
Yeah,
there's some good builds out there for this.
The thing is with this introduction of a flagship to the generalist class.
Thank you, George.
It's no longer generalist, is it?
You know, it's not. That's one point. The other point is how this kind of elevates the generalist to more than third tier. I mean,
no, it kind of keeps them all steady because. Everything has a flagship now. This is literally just keeping it up to par. This is making it the not Centurions.
This is getting ridiculous, honestly. I mean,
it's very ridiculous. No,
I think it's quite straightforward. They're making every fleet as capable as they possibly can and making sure that no one gets in a situation like they had before. And that situation was, I've gone for frickin' ironclads and I can't do anything now.
Mark, they don't have, but the thing is, they're tuning these fleets to require a flag rather than just have regular damn fleets. I mean, the flags used to be...
Yeah, I get
flag was a very rare thing. It wasn't a necessary thing in each damn fleet. But now it's necessary.
Hang on, that's been going for months, though, mate. Look back to the Apollo flag. Look back to the Citadel flag. Look at what we've been. Look at the flags. We've had specific flags per hull now for some time. They've just snuck in.
My Apollos work just fine without the flag. My Citadels work just fine without the flag.
Yeah, but in that campaign, that TLC that came out, if you didn't have the Apollo flag, it was costing you a lot of damage. Whereas I could piss it. And it'll be the same situation with this here. If you've got the flag, which I think will come out, you know, there'll be TLCs for this. I won't do the TLC for this one. I don't need it, you know. But then hopefully you'll be able to do this one in slow time. They may even put all three TLCs at the same time, and so you can pick which one you want and then build it in slow time and ready for the next raid, which will be May's raid.
Remember that last time where they put 3 TLCs in?
Yeah, if they're going to have this many flagships coming out, they have to drop the damn build time on the flagship.
Thank you. That's where I was going to go. I wouldn't be so upset about them if they were more in line with the build time for a regular ship. If you get into the point where the fleet isn't going to work or isn't going to work well unless you have the flag, then they really need to rethink that.
You're paying a premium in price. You're paying a premium in price. You're paying a premium in time. I mean, come on.
Yeah, nearly double the points for a single hull compared to an unlimited suite. Also, they're making these necessary, and it's if you make them necessary and you increase the build time, then you're artificially inflating the build time of the entire fleet. It pisses me off because it's a flagship for generalists whose whole thing is, we're supposed to be able to do whatever, and they shot that right all to heck 3 months after they released it. Like, what just happened? This buffs. What even about the generalists going forward? I guess they're going to have their own flagship. It's good that this buffs the other generalist, but
it's like another faction. It's like an extra faction as far as I can see now, because it's not general.
But dude, it's 3-month raid cycles. What the fuck?
Yeah. We don't have time. Again, 75 days of build time for.
Actually, I disagree.
After tokens.
Yeah, no, I disagree there, Brian. There is time, so long as you don't want to do PvP as well.
No, time. No, Mark, even if you don't do PvP, you don't have the time. It was in one of the vlogs I wrote. You're almost 2 weeks behind if you're caught up on FM, if you have all the tokens, if you got all the tokens in the raid, you're still almost 2 weeks behind building a damn 4-ship icebreaker fleet.
Yeah, the icebreaker. But this one here, you can get out because it's 31 days for 3 Imperiums, that sort of stuff. And this one here, you should be able to get it out in, look at that, that's 17 days, I think it's going to be, roughly, I think, for this one here. Which you've got 17 days of next month to do it.
A month and a half to have everything.
Well, the 10 days tokens in the raid, if you can get the tokens, you should be able to get the tokens, save them up. And then obviously this will hopefully come out and either VXP it or not. I don't really know. Because you want the flag effect. You're not really bothered about if you make it, I don't know, countermeasure it or whatever you want to do. At least it needs to be in the hull.
Either way you want the raid.
You're talking about the generalist hull.
Oh, I know, but the concept's the same for whichever hole you're going for.
No, it's not though. If you start doing the math for the other ones, it doesn't come out right. I mean, the icebreaker one
this
is not
actually
right.
is. Yeah, this
one's
actually is a
14
little
days,
shorter than the other ones fully kitted out, which is interesting because they said they were going to make this longer, but the weapon's shorter, but they didn't do that. Look, they've completely abandoned the generals thing entirely.
The
This
mortar
is another.
the mortar for the generalist is the same damn time as the mortar for the specialist.
Exactly, and that's what bothers me is it's the weapon timings. We put at least 6 of these. Like the rocket for the icebreakers is 18 hours without an officer.
Mm-hmm.
So you put 6 of those on. Yeah, that's rough. You cut that down by 6 hours, and you're down a day and a half of build time. It's like last year when they took down the Sharon and Styx build times from like 2 days or whatever to half a day, and then I literally went from I'm completely screwed to starting today I can build a Phantom Tiger and 4 Tigers and fully get them out in time. Like that's how big this difference is on the weapons, and either they forgot or they don't care.
Well, that interestingly brings on to another thing. What was the issue we had last month when they brought out what was the hole they had to change the ranges on? Wasn't it the
icebreaker?
It was the icebreaker itself. Okay,
the range was 60%, and they made that 30%.
That brings my situation out with not that one there. This one here again.
Nope.
That's not a good situation. This one here. Because again, we know the fact with this thing and this thing at the moment. Okay, and so, that's that quality control thing again, isn't it? There is a huge issue.
I yelled about this enough on the crib. I don't want to say anymore.
But the point is, okay, and you said about losing paths and that sort of stuff, and this is what I was just going to finish off on. That's why I put these slides up here. If you do the math basically on this thrower, and you did the math and then add it to this hull here, yet again, as they did with the icebreaker, they broke the game.
No, on this hull it's 107.36, which is a little longer than Liberator's. The real problem is
put it onto another hull.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, it's that cross-pollination across the fleets, which was the same situation with the weapon that was done last month as well. So somebody's not looking at their own and doing their own homework. So
yeah, you have to be,
Yeah,
you got to be cognizant of all the bits in this game. And yes, there's a lot of bits, but again, do your homework. If they move the special bonus here and tweak the bonuses on the Polonium, the special to make it not awful, then it would be sort of okay.
But all you got to do is have a simple chart, isn't it? Yeah. A simple chart and go, right, I'm going to put a new weapon into it, and then basically can auto-sum the column. It's not hard to do. The new turret is, the new weapon is going to be X, auto-sum the thing, right? Do they all line up in the column? Yes, they do, right? That's fine, guys. It's a really simple.
I shouldn't have to, offer my services because I how their own math works. I really shouldn't.
I actually want to go back to it for a second. What's the build time on that icebreaker flag?
I think it was 14.
14 days.
14
flat, yeah.
And then the specials are like another 12 days.
Yeah, they're quite long, aren't they? But I would probably tank that one up, to be honest, and just make it more tanky.
Right, but what I'm saying is the time. I'm just saying the time, because that's going to be a month just for that one ship.
Yeah. It'll be raid tokens plus, obviously, your FM tokens for a week and a half.
Or unless they do the TLC route and we get tokens in the TLC.
They don't generate the flags, though, do they?
No, they do.
No, they do.
Not very many, but they do.
Mm-hmm. But they've all been an option, etc.
Yeah, that is an option, and that is a way to help mitigate some of that if they make it available in the TLC, or they make tokens available, or heck, even what they did with the Superstore where there was a bunch of tokens. If they put.
Yes.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Next month, I want to do the S targets, right? So the first thing I'm building is going to be the gridiron flag, and then I'm going to build as many monoliths as I can. The catch is, am I going to be able to have those done by next raid? I don't think so. I don't think I can.
Mate. No way.
See, and that's an issue. That is a huge friggin' issue.
Well, you're not going to be able to for a start, are you? Because you're not going to be able to rank them, because I reckon the TLC is not going to turn up after the TLC weekend. Until the VXP weekend. So unless it comes with enough, obviously, VXP free, Then you may just start giving us all the holes that are already ranked, or just don't bother.
Look, in January we had the flags for the 2 holes in the raid. I'm going to guess that these are going to be in the raid for 25 million a pop again. All right, so we're going to be able to get the flag out by using all the tokens in the raid, and then 4 days before VXP. Right, you can have what two of them out with the tokens that came in the.
I got two with the tokens that came in the TLC plus the tokens from this week's FM.
But you can't use the VXP for the general one for the flag one, because none of them have to do that so far.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems.
It doesn't cross pollinate, does it? But
the catch is that's 3 of them out. Maybe you can get 3 of them out for VXP weekend, right? Then you have to refit them all, and then raid comes along and you only have 3 ships now when the S target comes out. Are the S targets, you're telling me the S targets are going to be tuned for what we could actually get these things out for, or are they going to be tuned for the people that coined up an entire fleet? And that's what I'm saying. You can't get this shit done. In the meantime, I've had to abandon my icebreakers because I can't build the icebreaker flag, right? Because I want the monoliths so I could do the S targets. So I'm boned. No matter which way I go, I'm boned. Either I have the icebreakers and I do the A sets again for the 2nd month, and then in the interim try and get the monoliths done for the 3rd one, and then look, the raid's done.
Sorry, say that again. You're what?
Boned.
What is he?
Yeah, it works for the FM, but not for the raid.
Yeah, they've made it infeasible for players to upgrade, even if we are, on the top end of the game and, super pro theory crafters and this and that, without spending money.
I was going to say, now you're not going to get the A-star fleet without investing in the A-star fleet. It's not going to happen.
But the thing is, if they make the A-star fleet the norm and base it around that, what's the benefit for the coins?
Why not, Mark? I've been able to do it for the raids for the last year. Why can't I all of a sudden?
Because we're now just starting to feel the effect of a 3 raid cycle, mate. That's what I'm saying.
Well, but they can tune the build times down to match that, but they haven't. Like, I don't want to be so rude, but they're not very good at time and math.
Yeah, it's not even a function of the 3 month. This in particular is not a function of the 3 month raid cycle. It's a function of the way that they came out with the tech and which paths they forced us down. Because I've been forced down the icebreaker path right now, right? Or it's one of the 3 that I had: Citadels, Icebreakers, or Empyreans. Mm-hmm. Okay, I chose the icebreaker one. The icebreaker one's going to get done. It's not even going to be done. If I want all 4 of them, I have to blow my tokens so I can actually have 4 of them for this raid. That's a problem because now I don't have tokens to build the Empyreans. I'm sorry, to build the monoliths that I want to use in next month's raid where the S target comes out. So I won't have those tokens to even get one out.
No, I understand, mate. So the answer to that is to coin it.
It's an issue. It's a huge issue.
But if you had the extra month and those S targets went out to the last month, then you'd be able to get away with it.
If you've got an issue, here's a tissue. But no, I've been trying to ask for like the past 10 minutes, but can I have that Imperium picture that you just had? Put it back up on the screen for me.
Yeah, hang on 2 seconds, mate. Yeah.
I must have missed that one because I didn't see it. What is it? Is that the actual?
It's a flag Imperium, mate. It's on the CFC page.
I didn't see that one. Wow. I was too busy interested in the monolith icebreaker and.
Yeah, Andrew's put that up, mate. They're on the Forsaken Council page. I'll bump them to the top.
So it's basically been made infeasible, if not outright impossible, to keep up on one job. We literally have one job, and that's to build a garrison fleet, and we can't do that by the time the raid's done without spending money. Like, not again without spending coin.
Yeah, I've been locked out of the rest of the damn game. I mean, that's what it is. If something changes, if I want to adapt to anything in the game, if I wanted to tweak anything else in the game, PvP or PvE related, I don't have the time. I will say, on the other hand, though, that the damn icebreakers are fun as hell.
Yeah,
that was a plus.
I took him through a romp with the FM, and I had a blast.
They're as fun as the tides, aren't they?
I love the shit out of these things. They're great. Yeah. Unfortunately, I won't have them built for the raid. That's an issue.
Well, I am. But then that's
you're a filthy coin, huh?
Nice early access that we can't actually capitalize on to the manner that you demand of us, Kixeye.
I've gone for the, as I said, I always speculate to accumulate. That's my method.
I do find something different from last month, though. Our last raid cycle is the fact that the monolith and the flag, that monolith is crap without the flag. As opposed to Cannoneer.
What? Monolith is definitely an upgrade from the no. I don't think it's crap at all.
Well, I have to disagree with you there, Jeffy.
What I'm saying as far as driving it, I mean, you're going to be driving, it's going to be very difficult to drive without a macro.
Oh, the variable speed, you mean?
The variable speed with a tank that's going to be going at a different speed, you can't really take advantage of the acceleration properly. You're going to end up, I just think it would be very difficult to drive.
No, I agree with that.
Without the flag.
Yep.
Yeah, that.
I mean,
I had fun in the preview with it, and I was not running any macros.
It's a new style of format, isn't it? So, but it'll be fine. You'll just need to be pretty switched on your keyboard. But like I said, I think it was Tuesday's show. You know, anybody because this is a game for people that have some time to spend and that sort of stuff, which is normally, and the attention span needs to be longer. So, no disrespect, but the younger community don't generally hang around very long. And if they do, they do it and go and smash some stuff in the PvP area and then slip back. But the other piece of the community, which is the the retarded sector and that sort of stuff, which unfortunately, and age brings ailments and that sort of stuff, they don't have the dexterity, to do technical fleet moves and that sort of stuff. Even shift clicking is hard enough for some people.
And sometimes the game just eats your inputs.
Yeah,
like, the game isn't always perfect on the response end either.
Yeah, I agree. It's not ideal, but anyway, so we've got 4 options. We've got a stack of flags coming. We've got some targets. At least hopefully they'll stay as they are and that sort of stuff. We'll soon know because it's going to be in the middle of next week.
Can I ask where that laser cat got his headset? I'd like one so I can buy it and put it straight in the bin.
It's normally better than that, to be honest. But yeah.
Maybe I need to refresh my my Google Hangout. Sometimes
maybe you need to punch that headset like really hard.
Right, we're 10 minutes past the hour, so I'm going to call it Jules there. Everybody wants coming on the after show, feel free to do so.
Hang on, TSM.
Go on.
I just wanted to put the plug in for those that didn't see it on the page. Everybody talks about wanting to see builds on the page quicker and being able to submit builds. Andrew has taken the time to put a form on the bottom of each of the builds page, so you can now actually submit your own build to be included on the website.
Yeah, now with that as well, obviously, in fact, I can quickly just freaking show that a second. The website has been refreshed. The front page is different again and that sort of stuff, so you can see it, which is well done, Andrew. Some good work. Well, actually, it's not just Andrew. Robin was on it as well, which is good because now he's got some assistance. She's giving him lots of grief for making sure he gets things up to date. So, so there are some good things there, and then the ships and fleets and that sort of stuff, and it's making more sense, I think, now.
Wait, so you're telling me that Robin nags Andrew about the website?
I wouldn't say she nags. I think she gives him good direction. she's like a manager. It's quite good, isn't it? So, but yeah. So there's some good stuff, and there's more and more contact coming to it. The blueprint track is there as well, which I like. And
there's a base design thing coming as well shortly that I'm supposed to be working on, but it's taken me long because I am long. So
down the bottom, there's a calendar of upcoming items and that sort of stuff. What's happening and those sort of things, which is quite decent. But yeah, so there is a form. Which button am I clicking on?
On the ship build page, on the bottom of any of the hull classes. So if you click on any one of those hull classes, on the bottom of the page, there is now. There's now a place for you to submit your build and a video link if you have a link of the build, so that we can go ahead and get those on the website. And it really will help Andrew from having to troll the page to find all of the builds, and it will also help us get them out there in as quickly as possible.
Please, though, if I'm not going to be disrespectful because I can be disrespectful. If the build sucks, it won't get on the page. Okay, we're not going to promote something that's shite.
Hey, tested, hence the word tested in the blurb. If it's something that you use and it works, and you think that people.
Well, what about my combos?
But yeah, if someone comes something outside the box, like and people used to come up with some real good stuff and that sort of stuff that's completely well out there and that sort of stuff, and using Egghole to do something completely different, a bit like the Malice Tack moment, it's nice to have those up there as well. So, but if it's shite, it ain't staying. Sorry.
Is there also not a part where they can actually submit a video with it too?
Yes, yeah. So it's in the form now. We just updated that today. So
went over that, George.
Yeah. So there's a video link. There you go, of it in action. So not only can you put whom you are, that sort of stuff, your link, email. You don't have to put that your own email if you don't want to, okay. But you know, if you want feedback for your own stuff, then you know you get the credit for it. But the video link, obviously, if you've got a YouTube channel or if you've got a Twitch or something like that, you know, the name of the build. Obviously, don't give it a stupid name. It's the hull, isn't it? You know, and then obviously, ideally, that's a Huggies link as well. So that's the way we like to do it. So
yeah, the email address is strictly required and used by the program itself. It's not. You know, it's not used for anything else. It's just one of those fields that in order for this functionality to work, it has to be there. And it also lets us let you know that the build's on the page.
We're not going to sign it up to some sort of, like, you know, dating game.
No Viagra ads, no.
Viagra ads and that sort of stuff, no. Okay. Nobody else gets to see that data. All right. And so that bit of that. So that's only for the admins.
Can I not just like start writing replies to people's emails?
No, you can't. All right. You're not going to get any access to those people's emails. I'll leave that to Robin and Andrew.
Yeah,
right.
No, it's very controlled. So there no fears of, because that was my personal beef as well initially when I first talked with him about it. But no, it's not. It's stored, locked away. It's only accessible by Andrew, so it's not going to go anywhere.
Okay, good. So yeah, so that's your new copy of Vanity Fair and Mayfair and everything else you want to. So don't worry about it. We'll add you to that. That's it. Okay. We'll all talk to you again on Tuesday night when we get the next update. That should give us all the information for the raid. With a bit of luck, and we can all rant and rave over things that are up and coming and plans and that sort of stuff. So we should have all the detail of the prizes, that sort of stuff. I'm sure Andrew will do his mega charts as he does as per normal, and we'll have an area on the page up and ready. So as soon as I get a chance to stream, because I'm off for those few days as well, I'm on leave, as in holiday, for 9 days. So I'll be at home the whole raid. So I'll be doing probably quite a bit of streaming. Listening to a few people and probably doing a bit of feedback and seeing how they're getting on. Anything else?
I may or may not join you. We shall see.
Super. It's always good when you do, mate. It's a good laugh. Anybody else got anything to probably wrap it for the night?
Oh, it's good.
No, I'm good.
Excellent. Right. Okay. Have a good weekend, everybody, and we'll speak to you on Tuesday, if not before. Take care.
Good night,
Bye, everyone.
Not everybody.
Bye.